Hello everyone, welcome back to Spiritual Essence, and in this video I would like to talk about a goddess who isn't as well known as she should be, and for whatever reason, I seem to have a very strong connection to her, and I would like to explain more about her, her story, and what she's all about. So the goddess in question is the goddess Styx, which is from Greek mythology. Oftentimes in mythology, she is referred to as the river Styx, one of the rivers in the underworld. She is made up of souls who are lost, who have died in tragic ways, but she is considered extremely toxic to touch. Mortals that take a swim in the river Styx end up dying. And Charon, the ferryman of the dead, has to receive a coin, the 2 coins placed on the eyes of the dead, in order to pass safely across the river Styx. But she's a lot more than that. And considering her backstory, it really tells a lot about her place. So she was a Titan goddess. She has thousands of siblings who are known as Oceanids. She is one of the oldest of them, where they are kind of half human and half nymph, and kind of half goddess, a god or goddess as well. So she has tons of siblings, but she is a goddess herself. She was the Titan goddess of a few things. She was the personification of hatred, and she was considered one of the most powerful Titan goddesses or Titanesses because of the emotions she ruled over, which I will admit that hatred is a very powerful emotion. She is also a goddess of invulnerability. There is a legend that the Greek hero Achilles was dipped by his mother, by his heel, in the river Styx, and he was made immortal because of it. However, there was a weak point. Because he was dipped in only at his heel did not go into her water. Therefore, if he was nicked in that spot, the Achilles heel, he would die. And that's exactly what happened in the legend. He was shot in the foot with an arrow by Paris, and he died. And she's also the goddess of this, unbreakable oaths. She was a river that the gods swore oaths over, and a punishment for breaking said oath would be to drink from her waters, which would relieve a god of his power and drain him of his energy, and he was to be chained by her waters for, I think, a full year. So, how did she become the River of the Dead? She didn't start off that way. She originally was the personification of hatred. She was married to the god of warfare, Pallas, and she had a few children, Bia, Power, Kratos, which a lot of people are confused by this, but Kratos, or Kratos, in their tongue, was not the god of war like in the video game. He was the god of strength. Everyone's like, no, Hercules was. He was a demigod, not an actual god. He didn't become a god until he died. That's how demigods work. But no, Kratos is the god of strength. Then there's Zelos, which is the god of rivalry, and Nikki, who is the goddess of victory. She had a few other ones, but they're not exactly sure if they're related, like Fountus, which was a god of fountains, and they also say Scylla was also that, but there's no proof in any of the written mythology that she was one of Styx and Pallas's children. But during the wars between the Titans and the Olympians, she offered her aid as well as her entire family to the fight. And as a reward for her deed, Zeus made her the River of the Dead. I know, sounds like quite the neat victory, you know? A neat reward to become the River of the Dead. How edgy, you know? So Styx is she's actually based on a real river in Greece, which has a toxic algae to it, and it's toxic to drink as well as touch. And so that's kind of where her mythology came from. However, she was more intended to explain her, like, the mythology of the underworld and how the River of the Dead got there. So she had no temples dedicated to her. She had no statues. In fact, I've tried to look for statues of her. There are no statues. Not a single one. So it looks like I may have to create my own out of paper mache. See how that goes. But I remember hearing about her, and I remember like hearing about her in Greek mythology. I had no idea that she was actually a personified goddess. Most people kind of like only hear of her as being the River of the Dead, which, you know, she's actually a goddess in the form of the River of the Dead. How I got started communicating with her. Well, I read more about her. I remember I was looking up Greek mythology, and I found that she was not only the River of the Dead, but she was also a personification of such. And I remember the first ritual I did with her was not in the astral. It was in real life. It was Halloween night. It was late into the night. I think it was close to midnight. And I set up a little table in the backyard. The things I had on it were like black candles. I had this felt skull statue. I also had symbols of the dead, like skeleton paraphernalia. Also, I had like some, they were like fake bones. So I put symbols of the dead with her. And what I asked her, I was like, you know, please keep hatred from my life. Please keep me invulnerable from all the obstacles in my life. And it was intriguing. I didn't really feel too much of a strong connection then. And nothing like groundbreaking happened. But I remember visiting her in the astral, and that's when everything changed. When I visited her in the astral, I remember I was in this dark cavern. And the rock, I don't know what the rock was, but it was like black as night. And there were spires, rock spires coming up from the ground, and there were stalactites and stalagmites also in this cavern. And the river before me was black. It was black. It was like black water. And there were stone steps leading into it. And I noticed also a stone slab, which I believe was an altar. So what I did was I set up the altar to her. And I remember as I was setting up the altar, I looked up on the ceiling, and there was water there. It looked like water, but it's weird. I could almost see the cosmos in it. I could like see all kinds of stars and planets in the distance. So it was very beautiful, very intriguing, and very mysterious. I have no idea why that was there, but it was like a whole ceiling where you could see up into the cosmos from a distance. But the ceiling looked like it had like a puddle of water on it too. There was ripples going through it. And I remember I wanted to contact her, and all of a sudden, this being rose up from the water. She was huge. She towered over me. How'd she look? She had gray skin, blue spider-like hair. Her eyes were like glowing white. And she had like this black dress on that was completely made of the black water from her river. And she spoke to me and she said, "You and I are connected. I wish to bless you in my waters." And I'm like, I told her, I'm like, "I thought it was toxic to go in your waters." And she says, "Not unless I allow you this gift." And she said, "Please bathe in my waters, become invulnerable, and let me help you." So I walked to the stairs. I went down. The water felt, it wasn't dense like the water here on Earth. It was like wispy. I could feel a slight chill from it, but it wasn't like super cold. It was actually kind of nice. And as I got deeper into it, I could feel like, it's kind of hard to explain, like I was being hugged by many people, like a group hug. Not heavy, but light. And finally, I got to the point where my whole head was submerged. And because it was the astral, I didn't have to breathe. And it was like I was being wrapped in a blanket, like the blanket I'm wearing now. It was like I was being like wrapped into it. It was very comfortable. And I closed my eyes and it didn't feel suffocating. It felt actually pretty nice. Like I was being hugged by a good friend. And eventually I walked out. I felt incredible. And she said, "I will be watching over you. Please stay in contact with me and enjoy your life." And then she went down into her waters and I didn't see her again. And that's when the astral projection ended. I have gone back there before, but I haven't seen her like I seen her that first time. So I've been in the cavern again. I bathed in the waters, but I haven't seen her. And I got to admit, it's been a while since I've contacted her. I kind of want to do so again. There were many things that she's helped me with. Like, she's helped me persevere in my life. Because I've got to admit, there's been a lot of curveballs in my life, and I've turned to her. And she was very comforting. And I knew it was her energy keeping me strong, along with the other gods that watch over me. I remember once, and I believe I told this account in one of my other videos, the corrosive power of hatred, where I talked about in one of my past jobs, there was this new girl, and, she was nice, but she was very inexperienced, and she wasn't very fast at her job, and we were getting swamped at our station because of it, and I was getting so fed up with her and so angry, and I remember I was like, "Please, Styx, help keep this hatred away from me." And I felt a kiss on my forehead, like in the center of my forehead where my third eye is. And it's like all that hatred and anger just went away. And I knew that she took it away. Now, most people, when they hear that she's a personification of hatred, they're like, "Well, why would you pray to her? She embodies hatred." On the contrary, so when gods are the gods of things, they also have the power to take away those aspects. Like, for example, Eris, who is the goddess of discord, she is a goddess who does crave discord. I mean, she went to a party where she was snubbed by all of the Olympian goddesses, and she tossed a golden apple that said "to the fairest one," and made them all fight, and she enjoyed that. She got her popcorn out for that one. She's very petty. But she also has the power to take that away. And while I haven't really prayed to Eris, I would like to. But to understand the point is, so if there is a god, like a god of war, even though they are a god who is actually okay with war because of the aspects that they are instilled with, it's part of their nature, like Athena or Ares. But they have the power to also turn the tides of war, which is why usually offerings are brought to them, trying to appease them, praying to them to turn the tides of war, and such like that. Although, if I had to pick between the two, I would go with Athena, because she seems to have her head a whole hell of a lot straighter than Ares, and I'm just going to leave it at that. But Styx has been very helpful. She hasn't been evil to me. She hasn't been bad to me. She's actually been pretty nice. And I don't know where this connection came from. It feels like she was a connection from one of my past lives. But considering that she is only part of the mythology, she didn't have any temples and no one really prays to her. So I don't know where this connection came from, but it's like we had an intimate connection from the start. And it just felt like seeing an old friend again. Now, I would like to see in the comments, is there anyone out there who worships Styx as a goddess? Please let me know down in the comments because I would like to hear your experiences with her, if anyone does. There's got to be some people, even if it's not a lot, some people. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell button so you don't miss any of my future uploads. Have a good day.